just had a fucking dream 2 nights ago about seeing live music. That's how bad I miss it. I literally had a fucking dream about just seeing fucking live music in the park. Because I think my body is like craving live music that bad.
Yeah.
So you just, was it like local shit? Like just local performers?
Yeah,
it was
it was a local saxophonist named Gregory Groover, who I'm now going to be following his stuff because he was really good. And he's putting out an EP soon. So I'm gonna check that out. But yeah, it was great to be back outside, like legit, like in places and like people serving me food. I mean, I'm vaccinated, so I was like, you know what, I should go somewhere, support a local business and not feel like
guilty about it. Yeah.
Exactly. Not feel guilty about it, and also not feel like, I don't know, like my whole entire life is like fucking regulated, which it basically has been like for the last year. Like I've been doing the same shit at the same time.
Because I went to the fucking grocery store last week and I was like looking at everybody askance because I was like, "What are these fucking assholes? Who like?" Because I live kind of out in like in the sticks. And I'm like, everybody's not wearing a mask. Like, you fucking assholes. And then I'm leaving. I'm like, there's a sign that says if you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask. They probably think I'm an asshole because I'm around wearing a mask. I didn't see the sign. I'm like, you can do this now. So,
it is
weird now. It's like so weird to live in this world all of a sudden. It just feels so goddamn weird because I went out to the store today and I didn't wear a mask and it was just like weird.
Yeah,
it was the first time I've done that forever.
Yeah, it is really fucking. It is odd. I mean, we still got a minute in Boston. Actually, no, we don't still have a minute. I was just gonna say we still have a minute in Boston until things like open up completely. But actually, the other day they said everything was gonna open up like by like May 29th, which to me sounds like an absolutely terrible idea. But yeah.
It's crazy because like this seems so like like rainbows and shit talking about this here, and then I go back to work and I hear people saying literal fucking Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones talking points about Bill Gates in your arm, and it's just like, well, back to the darkness, back to the literal fucking dark agents.
That's wild. I'll never hear that where I work because I work at a nonprofit legal services place where people have politics that are literally the opposite of Tucker Carlson.
Where people's lobotomies don't have lobotomies. That must be nice.
Living off borrowed time, the clock ticks faster. Living off borrowed time, the clock ticks faster. Living off borrowed time, the clock ticks faster. Living off borrowed time, the clock tick faster. Living off borrowed time, the clock tick faster. Living off borrowed Living off borrowed time, the clock ticks faster. Living off borrowed time, the clock ticks faster.
Well, yeah, just real quick with the speaking of non-music, non-introductions, just for the non-initiated, Living Off Borrowed Time podcast, Patrick, your host, Patrique on RYM, joined this week for the first time in a long time by Cosa 12 on RYM, Brian, doing it like we always do about this time when Armand Hammer drops an album. We are always here to analyze it, and we're a little late with this one because we were waiting to get the physical, and I have 3 anecdotes about the Armand Hammer physical, so we'll get to those. But just real quick with the technicalities on that, because I don't know how producer Wyatt's gonna chop this up, because I was late getting my physical. I know you got yours I got mine like the vaccine. I was a little late, but
yeah, I think I got mine like a week before you or something like that. And Shout out to
mine was not. This was not the fault of Backwoods. This was the fault of the USPS. So I'm just going to real quick with my story. So I got my notification about the same time you did that mine was being shipped, and then it didn't come, and then I got sorry we missed you from USPS, and then you can go to online to try and get them to send to fix whatever the problem was, and then my note said that there was missing shipping. I'm like, that's weird, and then. So it's okay, missing shipping. I paid for my shipping on Bandcamp for it because I bought the package with the CD and not the shirt, which is going to lead to my second anecdote because I didn't really feel comfortable going around with the shirt because I really like the cover. Like I think the cover is very great for the theme of the album, which is killing pigs, fuck pigs. But I just didn't really want to go around with that viscerally unpleasant shirt on. So I got the no ganja, no Moreno shirt.
100%.
Side cover art. Yeah.
I can't be walking around with that on my shirt either.
But unfortunately, I was trying to, so they said I didn't pay the correct shipping. So they're like, you can go online for this. And I tried to correct it. They're like, no, you got to go to the post office. So I go to the post office. And this very unpleasant woman who was wearing one of those weird face shields that people who don't wear face masks, Tucker Carlson told them that the government says that's bad. They're wearing the weird face shield. It's like, so did they tell you why you couldn't get this? And I was like, no, they gave me a thing that said they missed me. Obviously, they didn't tell me. What's the problem? Well, it's a duplicate. So they sent me two. And they're like, well, it's a duplicate. It was sent media mail, and that's for media. And this is clearly some sort of article of clothing. So we had to open it. Well, obviously, it was a CD and T-shirt combo.
Wow.
So it was. They clearly thought it was drugs, which is very funny for a shirt that says no ganja on it. It tells you it's not drugs. Well, first of all, they accidentally sent me two. So shout out to Backwoods. You sent me two. That's awesome. I gave it to a friend who appreciates this sort of music. He was very grateful for it. So that's my first anecdote was that the USPS thought my no ganja shirt was drugs. My second anecdote is my wife really does not like the CD cover.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yo, my girlfriend hates the cover too. Like legit, every single time she looks at it, she's like, why the fuck are these two dead pigs? Like on I kept the lyric book on my desk.
I was like looking at I had the lyrics book out because I was kind of going through it because one of the reasons that we were waiting to do the episode was because I was waiting on the lyrics book because this is the first time Armand Hammer has actually had a lyrics book because Elucid is very famously, if you've listened to the Call Out Culture episode, opposed to the idea of a lyrics book. Apparently, Billy finally talked him into doing one.
Shout out to Elucid for finally... We're finally letting us see
and doing the lyrics book. Yeah, it's a very nice CD package, by the way. Like the art on it's really cool. Like the cold wrestling ring on the back end. Like I think everything about it's really cool. But yeah, he finally caved. But yeah, my wife does not want any part. She's like, so I've tried to flip it over, and the backside's even worse.
Wait, what's on the?
It's got like the fucking cut apart like pig haunches.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's honestly this shit is it is unpleasant to look at, but I still think it's a dope ass cover.
The thing about it is, and I think this is the perfect transition, is it's like so everybody was like, oh man, Armin, like if you listen to our episode about shrines where everybody had their instant hot take about would reference this on the Brass episode about how, oh man, they put out this industrial hardcore, desolate record. It's like Shrines wasn't that. People wanted to think that. This one's not optimistic. They wanted you to confront some unpleasant fucking reality on this album.
Yeah, this one is actually, so when this first came out, a lot of people were saying, actually, I really want your take on this. So a lot of people, when this first came out, were saying this is Armand Hammer's most accessible record. And to be honest, I've never really sat down and ranked Armand Hammer records in order of accessibility because honestly, like
I don't think Hammer. I think that's a weird take to have on an Armand Hammer record. Period, for sure. I think it's their most cohesive because that's one thing. Like I kind of wrote down a little bit of notes about this. I prepared for this episode. About like one of the things that this is the first one they've done with one producer. And I mean, I think one of the things that's great about Armand Hammer Records is that they've had multiple producers, but it never felt cherry picked. that they would take a bunch of producers and it sounded like they had one over the course of a whole record. They could have August Fanon, Messiah Music, Alchemist on a record, and it would all sound like one producer because they were so good at having one cohesive sound. This is the first time they had one producer, and Alchemist is one of the best producers at having transitions and everything. So I don't think it's accessible so much as it is their most cohesive.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, his transition game is fucking A1. Like, this is definitely the best sequencing I've heard on any Armand Hammer project. And that's no disrespect to the other ones, because this actually still is not my favorite Armand Hammer album, even though I think it's basically perfect. But it's not. I mean, it's not my favorite.
It's top 3 for me.
Yeah, it's in the top 2 with Trying.
No record with Stone Fruit is accessible.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll say that right the fuck now.
Yeah, I didn't really find this to be a super accessible list, because when I hear the word accessible, I think about like somebody who's just like, maybe the rap that they like is in a completely different world from the shit like this. Like, could they go into this and find it like I mean they might like it, but could they find it quote unquote
like Stone Fruit? There's also something like the Quelle verse as well, or like there are certain things on this that I think are deliberately inaccessible.
Oh yeah, definitely 100%. But to be honest, I mean, this album is kind of this album to me. This might sound kind of dramatic, but this album is kind of a fucking miracle to me. Even though like it's like some shit that like if you analyze it, like there was not really that many degrees of separation between these dudes. And also, it was really funny to hear us talking about Earl and Alchemist on the Brass episode. And then this shit, that was before we knew any of this shit was happening. And then Earl is the reason.
And also, Earl and they dropped that fucking EP too. Yeah. Like what was it called? The one with, there are 2 Earl tracks on it, the Navy track. What's it called? The name's escaping me right now, but you know what I'm talking about.
This Thing of Ours. Yeah, you know.
This Thing of Ours, yeah. Which I think is also kind of like very, like, I'm pretty sure the beats probably came out of the same session. Like, I'm sure Alchemist is always making beats, but I feel like it was very much like probably the same sort of headspace that he made those beats, that he made these beats too.
Yeah, I mean,
feels the same sort of.
Armand Hammer and the Alchemist, I mean, Armand Hammer are my 2 favorite rappers right now. I'd say The Alchemist is probably one of my, if not my favorite producer right now. This is like, when this shit was announced, this is like, it's not shit that like I wished would happen, but I never even thought about, because I never thought that there was a possibility of it happening. In retrospective, stupid to think that, but it's just like, it met all of my expectations, and I had huge ass expectations.
Yeah, plucked directly from my fucking dreams. Directly from my dreams. My reaction from the chat, essentially, shout out to Infinity Being from the Discord. He was the one who announced this, and my reaction was, if anybody remembers the wrestler Booker T from Harlem Heat, he would do a thing where he would yell "ah," and then he would like yell, like put his arms out. That was my reaction. Essentially. So fucking.
Another thing that I liked about that is that like it was kind of like I guess you could call it just like a moment in like the indie rap internet space or whatever, because motherfuckers were crashing Backwoods website. I couldn't get on to order a CD for fucking hours.
It took me a minute too. It took me a minute to get the fucking order in. I'm glad I did, because I don't think they printed up that many of the shirt. But I got the shirt. I got 2 of the shirt. So yeah, fuck you, USPS. But you kept me from the shirt, but I still got 2 of them.
And then come out to be like this good, and like for it to sound like, I think that this album is probably the most, I guess I'd say like distinct album in their discography if you compare it like the sonic palette, I guess, to the rest of the albums. In terms of like, Alchemist brings a smoother, more organic aesthetic that I really like, and like it's just,
I mean, it's definitely that like midnight sort of noir rap type thing that you hear on some Armand Hammer tracks before, over the course of a whole album. You get that, and like, also, and there's like, go ahead.
And also like, so this album, I'm sure you've heard some of the podcasts where Elucid in particular was talking about how like Alchemist kind of like came into the world a bit and like met them halfway and stuff like that. So I like how like have you heard an Alchemist beat like Pepper Tree before? Because I have not. Have you heard an Alchemist beat like that before?
Yeah, I can't. There's no one-to-one for it. Like he'll do weird dissonant shit, but that's definitely him getting into that Elucid specifically headspace.
Yeah.
Like that's him trying. That's some save yourself shit. That's almost even some Bernadette type shit right there.
I
Like
really
that's
wish,
him like really deep diving into that headspace.
yeah, and I
That's
really
amazing.
wish
Pepper Tree is definitely the weirdest thing on here, but
yeah, definitely.
I mean, I'm loath to go through it like track by track from the beginning, but like I kind of do. Like I did that we did that on the Shrines episode. I would do that with this one because I think the way it's sequenced again, and there very cinematic, and like Alchemist is with his sequencing. I would do it from the beginning here, especially also I think kind of with the way, especially Billy is like Elucid's a little more stream of consciousness with his shit. I think Billy is a little more deliberate on this one, where his first half is more battle rappy, and then around Fell Out the Sky, he kind of starts getting more focused, and then definitely ends it with a punctuation. So yeah, we can start with Sir Benny Miles. And how did you feel when you started with I mean, I think definitely there's like, again, Shrines was their most optimistic record, and they're here to stop your fucking entertainment. And they say that, well, Alchemist, I guess, says that with the sample that begins this. They're going to stop your fucking dancing entertainment.
Yeah.
Like, you might have been in quarantine and trying to binge some shit to forget about your fucking troubles and forget that shit. Like, there's shit going on, and they're going to tell you about it.
I mean, I'm going to get to the lyrics in a bit, but I feel like this beat is like the perfect example of what makes of like the Alchemist aesthetic on this record. It was a perfect way to start off the record because I feel a lot of Alchemists, you know, the drumless beats, quote unquote, that some people love, like me, and some people fucking hate. I feel like
shout out to Batter Sphinx, loves them. Shout out to Diction, hates them.
Shout out to Diction.
We know who you're alluding to here, so
yeah, and so like I find them really, really hypnotic, and like I just love the reverse sounds and that church-like organ that's like it's kind of like bent. And like it just gives this whole like ominous like atmosphere to the track, which would make it amazing. And it's made even better by one of my favorite Billy Woods verses, period, like ever. Like opening this shit up. This shit is
one of the things that I've noticed, and I want to hear your feelings on this, because this was my first note actually, was that I feel like one of the themes in this album is they take cliches and they bend them. Like, you're going to need a bigger boat. You're going to need some more, like, and then think about rope as well. You're going to need a bigger boat, but then you're going to need a smaller ocean, but here's some more rope. Like, I feel like that's something they go to over and over is they take cliches and they turn them on their head. Like, that's a recurring theme on this album.
Damn. To be honest, I hadn't even thought of that when I was, like, taking notes for this podcast. But I think you're right, man. And I love that, that dreams is dangerous, you know, that whole sequence that ends with you're gonna need a smaller ocean, but here's some more rope. Because it's like he goes through so much. It's like the middle passage, obviously, but then there's like this Billy Woods really, really, really dark sense of humor where like it kind of sounds like he's saying he's like, you're not gonna be able to contain us, but like here's a way out of it. Just kind of
what's interesting is that What's interesting is that looking at the lyrics sheet, I always thought the line was "let's pose" and then "let's suppose," but it's always "let's suppose." Like I thought it was like "let's pose," kind of like everybody is in quarantine, you're on Zoom, we're posing, it's social media, you're presenting the best version of yourself. So let's suppose. So it's kind of like a double meaning word game.
Oh shit. Yeah, I always heard it as let's suppose, but yeah, that is let's suppose would also definitely work, especially in that sense. And another thing that's really noticeable about this Billy Woods verse, aside from how great the lyrics are, especially with that you're gonna need a smaller ocean, like all that shit, incredible. But his flow is very different here.
Oh
And
yeah, it's so immediate.
Yeah, it's very like I guess like it's the volume with his voice is I guess a bit more low key, and the flow feels more relentless, if that makes any sense. Like he's just he just keeps on going and going and going and going. Like it's great.
Right, because there's a thing about Woods' flow before where there's more of a talking aspect to it. Like Optimal likes to talk about this, how he likes the conversational flow. And I think Woods generally opts for that a little more deliberate, so you hear what he's saying. Because sometimes he's telling stories, he's got jokes. Like on Today I wrote nothing. A lot of that is he based that on like little short stories. So he, is kind of opting for that more deliberate flow. And like he takes a lot of influence from Doom, obviously. Our fucking theme music comes from that. But here, this is just so like it's like a fucking machine gun. And then Elucid matches him. And what I get out of Elucid a lot on this, Elucid is like goddamn just relentless throughout this album. Elucid is like reminds me of RZA a lot on this album. Just like coming at you, just like never giving you a chance to fucking breathe.
The thing with Elucid on this album, I think he absolutely destroys this album. I mean, you know my thoughts on Elucid and how I rant about people not giving Elucid his due. But
or maybe even editing them off their fucking versions of the album. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, maybe there's people who do that. Maybe you can find a comment box on a website called Rate Your Music and see what.
I don't know. Yeah, no one would be so weird as to edit Elucid off Armand Hammer albums. No one would have like brainworms like that. I'm sure that guy doesn't exist.
Yeah, no one would do that because that'd be some fucked up shit.
I know you would have to definitely have.
But I feel like something. Elucid on this album, he has never sounded like he just sounds so confident. Like he just sounds like this is a man who is in complete like the self-assuredness of this man is like fucking off the scale. And in this verse, I feel like I could listen to Elucid brag all day. Because like the way I think Elucid's like a king, and I don't know why people don't bring this up more often. And maybe they do in other corners of the internet that we don't frequent, but I feel like Elucid is the king of opening lines. Like I remember there's this line off of on Rome, and one of my favorite tracks on Rome, Microdose, where he's like, I was born in the year of the last recorded lynching. My question is who stopped recording?
Who stopped recording?
So like there's these lines that like is the type of shit that makes you kind of just pause the song and just be like, damn, it's like a mic drop moment, but it happens at the beginning and not the end. And I love how he opens this like, you need permission to have an issue with me. It's just such a simple. You need permission to have an issue with me. It's such a simple line, but it just hit me in my chest. Like imagine going up to somebody.
The moment in this song for me is in the middle where he says he's going to slapbox Judge Mathis and Judge Wapner, where it's just like I'm going to fucking slap the bullshit out of your fake law system, like your bullshit on TV, just like these fake it's just like your show trials essentially. Yeah. Just the way, and it's just like. First of all, on just a purely superficial level, the way he says that Judge Mathis and Judge Wapner, just like that's just like RZA right there. Purely, just it sounds cool, but then you like unpack the line, and
so many things in this Elucid verse, just sound cool. And I have no idea whose decision it was to put the echo on Tango and Rambo, but that shit sounds dope as hell. So whoever decided,
I think. Much all the vocal mixing decisions had to be Alchemist because you get that all over the album, like just these really cool little vocal fucking drops and everything. Like, and he does that with Earl all the time too. So I'm pretty sure that's just an Alchemist thing. He's done that with Rock before too. So I think that's just an Alchemist signature.
Yeah, and also like I'm not privy. Like when Elucid says, "I'm not right after you needed permission to have an issue with me." I'm not privy to the stories you live inside. A home of alt history. I just bend the rhyme. God, like a home of alt history. Like it can apply to like alt right. Alt history is taught in our schools. Like whitewash history, like all that stuff. Like he's not privy to that. He's like, yo.
But then he has that sarcastic, I just bend the rhymes, you know? He ain't talking, he's not telling you anything. He just bends the rhymes. He's just a rapper, right?
Exactly, just a rapper. Yeah,
But then he has that line. My favorite line on here is "Guns and Butter" for King Crab, where that's the crabs in a bucket, like he's referencing crabs in a bucket.
Yeah, yeah,
like the whole, yeah,
that is a great line. But yeah, I mean, this is a fucking this is probably one of my favorite songs on the album. But we'll see how many times I say that about all these songs here. Because if I say that every single song, then I have no favorite song.
I mean, yeah, we're gonna go through this. This is gonna be, by the way, pack a lunch. We're just gonna go through this and have 1,000 best lines on this. So yeah, this is gonna go very long. We mirror Shrines with the second song here. We have another Elucid solo shot, like we have with Solarium on Shrines. Now we have Roaches Don't Fly. I love the art in the Roaches Don't Fly, and we have Joint on the left side here, and on the art in the lyrics book. And my favorite line on this is when he says "Kill your landlord." Shout out to Boots Riley. Fucking so many cool. Just his flow. This is just so fucking good. Just such a fucking good verse.
I think my favorite line is actually my new name, "Colonizers Can't Prevent."
Oh, yeah. No.
Because that reminds me. That shit reminds me. It reminds me of lots of stuff. Just because I'm African, but I have a European first name. My name is Brian, and I know that it's been a thing in the past of leftists to shed their European names, like Assata Shakur, Kwame Ture, etc., etc. You can name all these people throughout history. It's I'm about this shit. I'm about revolution. I'm about the people. I'm shedding my European name. I have a new name that the colonizers can't pronounce. That's literally when I heard him say that. I thought about all that. I thought about all that shit, and I was just like, God, that's just a good line, especially how what comes before it, shifting forms, new resolve, guns go off, smoke and fire, light and sound. It's painting the picture of the resolve of I guess a revolution or a change in the way you're thinking, some type of
what counts. Kill your landlord, though. He's saying what counts isn't the name; it's kill your landlord. What counts is the action, not the nomenclature. Yeah.
Yeah, but that is, I don't know, just the song in general gives me the feeling of revolution and leftist change. And I love it.
Exactly. And it's also a nice contrast. Solarium is very optimistic on the last album, and this one is not pessimistic, but it's angry. So you have an Elucid solo song on the last one that's just kind of optimistic about being more than the sun and just being about light, and I don't want to say light and love some fish shit, but more just kind of just being optimistic. And this one's optimistic in a different way. Yeah. It's angry. It's driven. Roaches don't fly. Don't be a roach. Don't get squashed.
Yeah. Though when I heard there was a podcast, the Out the Box podcast, which probably has the best Armand Hammer interview on Haram. When Elucid was asked about this song, he was like, "I was just styling." I was like, "Damn." This man was just literally. This man just.
Well, that's how he writes. He talks about his writing on the fucking Call Out Culture one, and Billy's like, "Yeah, he goes into a room. He goes into a room, he comes out, and there's the head. That's it. That's probably why he doesn't want a lyric sheet, because it's he doesn't I think Billy's much more structured in his writing and thinks about it, whereas and that's where I get the RZA comparison from, because I think RZA at his best was a lot more just kind of free associative, and I think Elucid's the same way.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Also, the beat of this song sounds absolutely nothing like anything I've heard Elucid on before, and he sounds perfect on it. I just wanted to say that. This beat is I love the polished, the keys feel really polished, and those guitars. It's just a great beat.
It's a very Alchemist beat, though. It sounds a lot like the stuff he did on Israeli Salad. A little bit like some of the stuff he did for Bronson around that period as well. Like, I mean, and Bronson would just yell over it because Bronson had a way of steamrolling the beats, whereas Elucid kind of like finds his pocket in this. So yeah.
Yeah. And so the next song, Black Sunlight, might be the happiest Armand Hammer song that I've heard in recent memory. I mean, I can't think of it.
I have a lot of takes on this one. It's happy. I think that this is, first of all, a direct reference back to the first track on To Pimp a Butterfly with the Wesley Snipes tax line and the kind of way it calls back. I don't think it's a sample, actually, because I think that's Kayana on. It's not a sample. Kayana. Yes, because it says featuring Kayana. So I think that it's every is a star line, and you have the Wesley Snipes tax, and then you think about the Billy lines on this. He's talking about black stardom, black celebrity, and if you listen to some of the lines, you know, is it performative or praxis? Are we talking about praxis? Magic Negro, Wesley Snipes taxes, like, yeah. I think that this is kind of a response to that, or possibly a continuation of that. At least the Billy verse.
Oh wow!
Like, I've been listening to this one a lot, and I think that Billy's kind of continuing those themes, or possibly responding to them.
Also,
Left at first, politics absurd, unconcerned, spray you perm. Like, I mean, Armand Hammer, Hagler, and Hearns, I think that's just them bragging. They're prize fighters. Like, their lines are going to knock you out. Like, that's
also, that spray your perm line is fucking hilarious. The first time I heard it, I laughed. Just because, like, it's just the scene that he says, where it's like, he's like in church, and he's like talking politics. He's like talking politics to people. He's like, these niggas absurd, and then he just laughs. Like, spray your perm, do that shit.
I think it's like going back and forth, like that. He's like kind of talking about, like, you know, famous rappers and black celebrity, and going back and forth that they're better than everybody else as rappers. Like, black bastards, Negro humor, laugh in a casket, yellow teeth, incisors flashing. Like, you can read that a lot of ways.
Yeah. Definitely. And that iridescent blackness line that you quoted earlier, I think that's another one of my favorite Billy Woods lines. Like, just like, the iridescent blackness, is this performative or practice? Are we talking about practice? Like, it's like, I
mean, I'm always going to like any song that quotes the Iverson interview. Like, I have a real weakness for anything that quotes the AI interview. That's just like, but yeah, and shorted them like Bear Stearns. It's just kind of like that. Also, like, just talking about how you're never making as much money as you think.
Yeah. Yeah. Man. I mean, this Billy Woods verse, he also sounds like joyful. I don't know if it's just because
he's happy. It's a happy Billy verse. Like, he's just feeling himself on this verse.
Like, I don't know if it's because, like, the horns are beautiful and Kayana sounds fucking amazing, but
the closest instrumentally, I'm sorry to cut you off, is the closest instrumentally to something off Shrines, I would think.
Yeah, definitely. I just get happy cookout vibes from this song, especially once Elucid comes in, because, to be honest, since we were talking about, like, how we haven't seen, like, live music and shit for a long time, going to New York, or if they were to come to Boston, that'd be great. But who knows what that will happen with how shit is, and how hard it'll be to, like, have a show. But, like, my goal for this year is to see Elucid just yell "smile niggas" on a stage, because that shit that is my goal, because he sounds
admirable goal right there.
He sounds like happiness. Like, I can, like, I hear this verse. And it's like almost like I can see this dude just smiling. Like, he sounds like he's been through some shit, and he's like out on the other side of it. And he's like feeling himself, and he's like confident in himself, and he's positive, and it's great. And like, he knows he knows what his place is in the world. Like, when he says, like, through trials rendered in my full expression, stressor, pressure cooking, then I got your message. Blessing.
Well, I mean, there's that line, well, several lines, actually. I don't want to riff build. I don't want to explain self. I don't want to constrict love. I want to grow kale. Like, he doesn't want to, like, bullshit, basically. He wants to build, period. Yes. Like, that's what he's saying. That's why he's happy. He understands himself. He's not gonna put up a front. He's not gonna do anything for your benefit. He's gonna live his life.
Yeah.
That's why he's happy. He's realized himself.
Yeah, and he's never hoed himself to make the song sell, which is a fact. Like he hasn't done that. But yeah, just great song. Two very different but equally amazing.
I mean, I think that one is like kind of like funny, like one's joyful in like a bleakly comic way, and one's like genuinely joyful, and the beat is just jubilant. Like, and Kayana sounds wonderful over this. It's really great to like. It's like kind of like, I don't want to say neo soul, but it's very warm. It's a very warm Alchemist beat for sure.
Yeah, and the thing about Kayana is the decision, a conscious decision was definitely made to have her sound like a sample. Because I remember when this first came out, people were thinking it was a sample. But I love like the old school like sample aesthetic vibe that they put like in the recording of her voice, because it just works. So it works so well. And Kayana is also great on the Small Bills album. That if you're listening to this podcast, you should definitely.
You should know about that, and we'll eventually do an Elucid episode. Do not sleep on Small Bills. Do not sleep on. Why am I blanking on the fucking other artist on that? Because I own a bunch of their albums.
The other artist on Small Bills? Oh, The Lasso. The Lasso put out a dope album this year.
And he put out something this year, too. Really good. A really good funk album.
Really good album. That is something that people are sleeping on like crazy. I'd love to see him like do more work with more like album length work with rappers, because
right. And that people were like kind of like, oh, I don't like their singing on that album. It's like, do you not listen to Solo Elucid? Like, that was definitely people who just listened to like one Armand Hammer album. It's like, wait a minute, Elucid does weird things. Sorry, what?
That album is fucking great. That one of my favorite albums.
I appreciate that album more every time I listen to it. It has like kind of a mid-period Talking Heads vibe almost, in terms of the way it like fuses genres. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I really like Lasso's great. The only Lasso album I don't like is the very first one, because it seems kind of gimmicky.
I haven't heard it. The only
it's like that's where he gets his name from. It's got like kind of like winky Western stuff going on. It's not great. I mean, it's technically fine. Like, I think I have it at a 6, and it's worth hearing, because everything he does is worth hearing. But everything like, it's formative. I'll say that it's formative.
Yeah. I mean,
the next album. I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
Yeah, the Lasso has a dope album with a rapper who I'm going to look up right now, because I don't like speaking on things when I'm like half remembering shit. But it was a very, very, very.
I just did.
It was a very dope album with a rapper, and Quelly Chris was on this album. So I'm gonna get this shit right. I'm gonna pull this shit up and not disparage this rapper, who is a very good rapper. Let me see. Let's see. Black Ego by Lando Chill. Lando Chill is dope rapper.
Yeah, I heard that. I gave that one listen. I need to listen to that again. I don't think I rated it because I only listened to it once. But yeah, shout out to Quelly, because Quelly will be on whatever is interesting. And we'll get to Quelly later, because people were shitting on the Quelly verse, and those people can get shit on themselves, because Quelly's verse on this is remarkable.
Wait, stop. Wait, actually, we can talk about when we get to that, but that's wild.
We'll get to that when we get to that.
That's wild.
But the next track, we don't need to talk about it too much, because the best reviewer on ROAM already said this is about swearing vengeance in the 7th grade. So, there you go.
Whoever that guy is, I wish him well. Anyway,
he really got to the heart of this one. So.
This is another one of those, like, this is that hypnotizing Alchemist shit. Like, the flute, just gorgeous, haunting, like everything that I want out of a Alchemist beat. And
this is where Billy starts getting really like into his story bag, I think, where like This is definitely where he starts getting more specific. Like, there's still like the abstract details, but yeah, I feel like there's definitely, like I said at the beginning, Billy starts transitioning from being abstract specific over the course of the album. And again, Fell Out the Sky is where I think you get the real transition. Chicharrones is, again, the skeleton key. But this one, I think, like, you get abstract details kind of transitioning to a story over the course of this.
Yeah.
Some of the details in this. That also, another thing about Billy, like I said, the thing about like flipping cliches, he also makes like little references to older work here. The History Will Absolve Me reference is the one where I like just keep, but he also references hiding places in his verse here too.
Yeah. The thing about how Woods tells stories, the thing that I love is I love what he leaves out, which I guess is like weird to say, but I love like what he implies in like either with the words he uses or like the tones that he takes. Because obviously, like you're going through this. He's like, he's talking about how like summer job and came home thinking of gas in the evening. It wasn't any one thing. It was the sequence, and then things kind of get darker. The intoxication of counting cash and secrets. Like, okay, wait up, hold a minute. You're not just talking about that job now. You're talking about some other shit. You know what I mean? But it's like he never like actually says it. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I understand. The one line, yeah, I understand what you're saying. It's hard to articulate, but I get it. The line that really stuck with me on first listen was the putting the hole through Indiana Jones' fedora.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the line that comes right before it. Kill one, only bring more and more like dead explorers. I mean, that shit, Billy Woods is just hilarious to me.
He's got like this way of like making really dark points that making really dark humor that makes really big statements, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll make a dark joke that makes a big statement and is really a clever reference. Like, it's something you have to unpack, but it's funny, but it's not smug.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's kind of hard to explain. I don't know. It's hard to explain.
Yeah,
it's just he's such a good fucking writer, and I kind of appreciate this as somebody who tries to be a writer. I was about to say I am a writer. I'm not really, but
yeah. I mean, I do write shit from time to time, but I don't categorize myself as a writer. There's shit I read online where I'm like,
myself as a writer, certainly not at the level of kids, but yeah, it's like he writes on so many different levels, and then he's able to rap it in a compelling way.
Mm-hmm.
And it even works better in the context of him and Elucid together because they rap so differently.
Yeah, I do think Elucid on this song, I think might be maybe the hardest bars on the album for me to dissect. Like if somebody took out this line for line and asked me to dissect every single line, I don't think I could, but I also don't really think that matters because he sounds incredible on this. Like every single thing that he says.
I think the abstraction's almost the point.
Yeah.
Like,
and there's like certain lines that first of all, I was talking earlier about how he like opens shit up amazingly. The way he ends this shit, like I love that little scream that he does at the end, and just a line that it comes with like fast and pray for rain, but just a trickle. Clean your own pistol. I can't walk them dogs with you. It's like, yo,
I mean, the visual that I get out of this whole song is of just like a 1950s sort of like imperialist white dudes going through a village and just gunning down black dudes and thinking nothing of it. And then just like kind of whistling and like smoking their pipes and then just sending home like some sort of like clean black and white film for school children to watch.
Damn. I feel like from the last line, the line that I just mentioned, what I get from that is like, I feel like Elucid could be saying, I say he could because I honestly, like, I could be completely off base, but like, fast and pray for rain, but just a trickle. So it's like, yo, like, material change might require a bit more than faith. It requires action, like clean your own pistol, like go do this, get your shit ready to take shit for yourself. Like he's not gonna. I can't walk them dogs with you. Like he's not gonna like do the heavy lifting for you. Like you have to want it. You have to go and get it yourself.
Well, one of the through lines I see in the album is like from old school imperialism to new school authoritarianism.
Mm-hmm.
Like my name that colonizers can't pronounce.
Yeah.
Without colonizers, we don't have cops.
Yeah. 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 That's definitely a thing that I got of it too. And also, like Elucid's flow on this shit is just. There's a moment where like the effects around his voice or like the overdubbing or whatever it's called just sounds fucking amazing. Where he's like, as if black script, my last grift, dumbfound myth. Like that entire sequence when he's saying that stuff, it just sounds great. And also,
the way that like Alchemist just understands rappers is really underrated. Like you can put any rapper with Alchemist and he's gonna make them sound good.
And also, Elucid says that like I ain't got no more fucks to give in like the coolest way ever. I had a fistful of fucks.
Oh yeah. Oh yo, dude, I love that fucking line.
Like who says that like that? Like that's this man. This man's just on some. I had a fistful of fucks ground to the gristle. Like conditions and stipulation, past the need for affirmation. Again, that's on that self-assurance shit that you could hear in the earlier tracks. But like he doesn't need he might be like, yo, I don't need to be validated.
Optimism, like any optimism is dead at this point.
Yeah. But yeah, fantastic verse, fantastic song. And the next song actually, Aubergine, might be my favorite, might actually be like Elucid's verse on this song is like a fucking masterpiece to me. Especially with how it ends. Just like
well, that's again like when I talked about flipping cliches, that's one of them at the very end. Just because I wander don't mean that I'm lost. That's a cliche. And then he flips it, just because I wonder don't mean that I'm stumped.
Yeah. Yeah, it just bending wills to exactly what I want. I've been hunted, I've been shielded, I feel love here. I just love like the internal like contradictions. Like you've been hunted. Like I honestly like he could be talking about lots of different things. He probably wants us to take our own meaning from it. But like for me, it's like if you are black in America, which are two things that I happen to be. If you come from like a community of other black people who love you, but then you live in this country that fucking hates you, it's like you've been hunted, you've been shielded by that community, and you probably feel love here, like despite all the shit. When I heard that line, that's what I got out of it immediately. And
then Woods talks about brothers, and then he talks about son, and then he talks about his mother, and then Woods has one of my favorite lines, I am my mother's love measured in eyedroppers. Like that line is so fucking good. I am my mother's love measured in eyedroppers. Like,
also,
that is so
another line. Well, before I even get to like Woods' verse, I got to talk about how the beat switch is insane, and it's insane because of Fielded. Like that haunting, hazily recorded "I Feel Love Here" that she's singing, that's like fading out as the beat for Woods' half of the song comes in. That shit is just fucking. That shit is brilliant. It's just so beautiful. Like,
and again, it's a voice that sounds like a sample but isn't.
Yep.
It's a modern voice made to sound like something old.
Yeah. And I just love how Woods just talks his shit in the last part of this verse. Like, Westworld niggas rebooting, recycling the same shooting, rappers tired, and nurse are the only thing to keep them moving. Oh, again, that shit is.
Oh no, hilarious. This is just Woods just like fucking talking shit, and I love it. Like he orders his own shit. You order off the menu. You just order like Olive Garden shit. Like like pretty much This is just straight up battle rap out of Woods. Like it's great. It's great to hear him just.
Yeah. Yeah, crazy song, man.
Chef Hand made him a lot because
Yeah, yeah, just great stuff.
his verse
And
here is better than either season, like all three seasons of Westworld. I guess I forgot there was a third season.
I actually
Shout out to
I haven't seen Westworld at all. I've
it's don't bother. I mean, it's not very good.
Okay. Well, next one.
It's Christopher Nolan. Nah, I'm not a big Chris Nolan guy, so I mean maybe you
Christopher
like it.
Nolan. I watched Tenet and I wanted my time back, yo. The thing is, like, I'm not a Christopher Nolan hater, but Tenet is like, I guess it's gonna sound mean, but Tenet is like, if you took like all the worst aspects of like the things that people normally complain about with Christopher Nolan, like the the ex like
Did they
exposition
do the
all the
sound?
time.
Was the soundtrack way too loud?
Well, first of all, like I guess like the audio in the film. The film is like, if the film was like an album, I'd say it's unlistenable in that like I can't like hear what the people are saying. Like the characters are just spouting exposition half the time, and there's like no real emotional tie between them. And there's like, I don't know, like I was just watching it. It felt like kind of a soulless. It felt like if somebody really liked Christopher Nolan's stuff and they really like something like Inception, and then they made a movie, but then they're not Christopher Nolan, so that all the shit comes out like, I really like Inception. All the shit comes out like a
So
shitty
it's a
soulless
Christopher
version.
Nolan fanfic type John. Like yeah,
Yeah,
sounds sounds fun.
I really do not
Shit.
like Tenet. But anyway, God's Feet. I actually do like this piece of art, God's Feet, this song, which is the next song on the
Yeah.
album.
It's the opposite of a Christopher Nolan film.
It's exactly opposite of Tenet because I love this song. Like Elucid seems to be described like it's like some type of it's like the concept of the dead coming home is probably knowing Elucid. There's probably some Bible references or something. Just knowing like how he writes and having listened to podcasts about his upbringing and things like that. This probably has something to do with something in some Bible somewhere.
I mean that does give a lot of context to Save Yourself and Bernadette and all those references. Like he definitely is like rejecting his upbringing a lot, like through his art.
But it feels like it's like a supernatural wake type thing. Like he's preparing the place for the dead to come home, and the verse is super dope. I love those keys. I think they're like Rhodes keys. They sound really fucking good. I did not expect Woods and Elucid to be singing on this album, but I think it works perfectly for me.
I mean, this and the following track are probably the most, I would say, avant type shit on the album. Like it's the darkest moment, like square in the middle, which again, sequencing, Alchemist always is great about that. It's super dark, and if you're gonna put the poetic shit, like Elucid's the one to do it, not Woods. Not that Woods can't write poetically, but again, you were talking about Elucid's upbringing, and Elucid's gonna write this shit probably more emphatically, I would say.
Definitely. And another thing about how, so these two tracks, Godspeed and the track after it, which is Pepper Tree, I feel like the placement of them right next to one another is just a really good choice. Because Elucid is talking about the concept of the dead coming home, and it's like he's like making a wake, and then Woods comes in here, like the subject is still death, but it's death in a more like concrete way that we can all relate to, or if you can't relate to it yet, unfortunately, you probably will be able to relate to it soon, or
soon.
sometime in your life. Sometime in your life, not soon, because that sounds kind of like threatening, like soon. But anyway, because Woods is talking about a funeral on Pepper Tree, and he's talking about it really well. Like I can see like he's talking about the caskets, like mahogany with the gold trim. It's silent except for the children crying. that they never even knew him again with that dark humor and stuff like that. And like he's describing like the movie.
I wasn't trying to threaten people like you're going to die soon, by the way, or someone.
No, it's not. It's not die soon, but it's like I mean, people. You would have to be a very fortunate person to not.
You never know when something bad is going to happen. I suppose was what I was trying to say. Is like I wasn't. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to be a really fortunate person in life to go through your whole entire life and not have to go to a funeral, basically. And Patrique is a funeral, so a lot of people will be able to relate to that. And
I feel like it's immaculate sequencing to have Elucid followed by Woods back to back like that. And also, I think it's really good, again, mirroring of shrines. Like you have the light and the dark, you have shrines of the light, and you have like you had the like Elucid solo and the place that it was versus the Elucid solo, the place that it was, and then you have Frida backed up with King Tubby the way that it was, and then you have God's Feet backed up to Pepper Tree the way that it was, and I think they kind of serve the same purposes album wise.
Also, this beat is fucking crazy.
We weren't talking about Pepper Tree. We kind of alluded to the Pepper Tree beat, and Jesus H Christ, dude, this beat is absolutely fucking ridiculous.
Like those reversed trumpets. I think they're trumpets. They sound really, really, really fucking good. And Elucid did say that he regrets not rapping over this beat because apparently he couldn't like get with it at first. And Elucid, I know you'll probably never hear this, but I wish you rapped on this beat too, man. I would have liked to hear what you
It's weird for Elucid to say he couldn't rap over something, by the way, because I've heard Elucid rap over even weirder shit than this.
I thought the same exact thing when I heard that on that podcast. I was like, "Word, you couldn't?" I mean, I can't argue with you. I mean, you're you. You know you better than anyone. But wow,
yeah, exactly. I'm not going to get in your head.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, his writing process is strange. But Woods, for Woods to rap the shit he raps over this, he has some, again, very visceral, like very. I think the word choice on this is very interesting. He comes up with a lot of like food imagery on this, which is like kind of, again, you talked about wakes. Like he talks about like the sticky rice, the cake. Like it's it very much seems like he's just trying to come up with marijuana cigars. Like it's just very much like a mournful image. Like,
yeah, I mean, just like
how people mourn other people. I would say, like,
I would love to see, like, in a perfect world where Armand Hammer has like the funding to do whatever they want. I would love to see a music video for Pepper Tree filmed in Jamaica, because this is very much. This is obviously a Jamaican or at least a West Indian funeral, and Woods is half Jamaican, I think. And
if you want to see a funny video filmed in Jamaica, we showed this in the chat the other day. The Let Nas Down video is 8 minutes long, and it's DJ Khaled and Ox. And
is it? Wait, the Let Nas Down, or wasn't that Nas album done?
Oh, I'm sorry. Nas album done. You're right. Yeah.
I was about to say, why would J. Cole do that? It's 8 minutes long,
and like 2 minutes of it is Nas rapping, and 6 minutes of it is DJ Khaled talking to the children.
Also,
Jamaican guy.
I love that song. I don't care that Khaled and them reused the.
Oh no, it's a great song. It's like
a really
great. It's two great Nas verses, but like for 6 minutes, Khaled is just like babbling with this old Jamaican guy for some reason.
But I love that song. But I was gonna say that I also hate that song, because when that song was recorded, I was very happy because it was.
You thought Nas' album done?
I thought his album was done. I thought this because this man had told me. He told me in a verse over and over again. I was like, yes, I'm waiting. And so I waited.
Nas lied. Nas' album not done.
Nas' album wasn't done, and then the album actually was done in the future. So if you want to go and like retroactively, like, yeah, he technically didn't lie. I mean, actually, no, he did lie because the album wasn't done at the time. But then the album was done, and it was a shitty album with Kanye.
Oh no, well that album, no, it wasn't done because he and Kanye did that over a weekend.
Yeah, it wasn't done.
Drank expensive wine and like ate like pasta and like it was not that same album.
No, it wasn't. That album I'd say the album would have been better left on the left in the studio, left in where was Kanye when he was doing all them shits? In Wy-
Wyoming.
in
Yeah.
Wyoming. Yeah, the album would have been better left
We
in.
did an episode about the Wyoming stuff, and I maintain that 3 of those Wyoming albums were very good, and 2 were not. That was one of the 2 that was not.
Which were the 3 that were good though?
Kids See Ghosts, the Tiana Taylor, and Pusha were the 3 very good ones.
Well, I've heard 2 of those 3, and I like both the 2 that I've heard. I've heard the Kids See Ghosts,
and
I've heard the Pusha T, which is, I mean, if anybody who knows me, it's not surprising that I like a Pusha T thing.
Right, yeah, and Tiana Taylor is like it's very good for what it is. Except for the Kanye verse where he raps about wanting to fuck Tiana Taylor, which, in retrospect, But yeah, and then you have Ye, which is a complicated album, and then you have the Nas album, which we all wish did not happen in retrospect as well. But you can listen to that episode on our YouTube channel if you like. So,
so Scaffolds is the next song. It is. I love the beat. I love the beat of the song. I really like the the piano sounds like kind of submerged, and I do like that. I think that Elucid, he kind of references the beat in one of the lines in his verses, like Armand Hammer, grand piano, something like that. Though I shouldn't say something like that because I should have the lyrics right in front of me.
Candelabras, yeah, where it's kind of it kind of talks about the piano. I actually got the same thing out of that, where it's like it sounds like the piano's dying a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Another thing, so there's a line that Lucia says that kind of like encapsulates like how like he is, to me at least. Like, you haven't mastered. Okay, let me read this off from the.
So I'm actually curious. I don't want to cut you off, but do you get the Cameron skits line? Do you know what he's referencing there?
Oh no, because I haven't. So I've probably heard, if he's referencing something off of Purple Haze, I have heard that album, but I don't even have that album rated on Rate Your Music because I heard that album.
I'm pretty sure it's like just these dumb Cameron skits where it's like black women like yelling about "It's not my baby." I'm pretty sure where it's like fake Maury show shit. I'm pretty sure that's what he's referencing.
Oh,
Billy Woods loves Cameron.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when Purple Haze dropped. Shit, everyone loved Cameron.
They should.
So I, to be honest, I have no idea what my opinion is on Cameron. Like, I legit have not listened to anything.
It's just such a weird reference to make. And when he said that at first, I'm like, that is such a weird. And I was just so happy he made that right. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the "I'm a chicken head" skit on Purple Haze.
Maybe I'll listen to Purple Haze later today for the first time in like over a decade. But yeah, that elusive line that I was looking for is you haven't mastered meter, so you must respect it. As it pertains to how I freak it, yo, don't ask me no questions. I believe in black secrecy. I feel like that's how he like approaches like his shit.
Life? Yeah.
Shit, maybe life, but at least like his writing and like his art, like it comes through a lot, like in the interviews that they give, and obviously on the album.
He definitely talks less than Billy in the interviews for sure.
Because I feel like Elucid, based on what he said about how like interpretation, because they always get the questions like, "Oh, your art is abstract," blah blah blah. Like, I feel like a lot of times he wants people to just like, he doesn't want to sit here and do like the genius thing and like dissect it or like do the shit that like he's not gonna get up and like.
He's not gonna be your old Droog and like fucking like sue Genius or something. Like, he's not gonna be like that performative about it.
But he's also not gonna like. He wants people to
remove himself from the discussion, I suppose.
Yes. Yeah, he wants people to come to their own conclusions, and he wants people to like interpret shit. Like, don't ask him how he freaks it. He believes in black secrecy. Like, if you want like a concrete answer, go somewhere else. I really like that line. But Woods, Wood's opening lines on this song
Oh
are
yeah, no. Wood's opening lines on this stuck with me really hard, like because that's just like something I've thought about my own life.
mm,
They
like,
felt very universal.
yeah, they did. And just like I mean the quotables and like the imagery. Like group therapy, I poured kerosene in the group, watched the fire leap. A shred of truth is all a liar need. It all burned the same when the fire feed. Like that. That
Yeah, I'm
is
just gonna say some shit to just watch people react, essentially.
yeah. That is that is just great. And I love like indeed the ground's cold, but the bone's not deep. And then that like working with the line that comes before it when it's like men rack our brains over past deeds. It's like yo like that shit like in the past ain't that far away. Like shit can pop off based on shit in the past. You know what I
I
mean?
mean, every single goddamn line. Heir apparent, I inherited. First of all, heir apparent, I inherited. Just right alone, like isolate that. Heir apparent, I
Yeah,
inherited. Just on a pure rap level, that's fucking
yeah,
amazing. I
yeah,
inherited a bloodstained throne for a seat. Jesus goddamn Christ, dude, that's so cool.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. That verse is fucking incredible.
and also when he talks about I got excuses, he's like kind of foreshadowing what he talks about on Chicharrones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Another great like lucid line. I love to talk with fools. I hate circling the drain and repeating myself
Yes,
unless I'm
yes,
barring
that's
on a
so cool.
stage. Unless I'm barring on a stage. I
Yeah, he
love.
doesn't like. I'm not rap barring on a stage. Like, yeah, that the way he puts that is so
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
And I
definitely.
love talking to fools. I love circling. I hate talking to fools. I love circling the drain. Like, yeah,
Oh no, it's actually I love to talk with fools. I hate
fools.
circling.
I hate circling
Yeah,
the drain. Like, yeah, he likes his company, but he hates circling the drain.
yeah,
I
yeah.
always get that one mixed up. I hear it like I've listened to this a bunch of times lately, and I always get that one mixed up
Man, I
because
remember when this album first came out, I
sometimes
had to.
Lucid's tricky to get right.
Yeah,
So
definitely. I mean, when this album came out, I had to like put it on like I was listening to it so much. I was like, am I listening to this too much? Like I legit like I sat down and I was like, this is the only rap I'm listening to. Should I be listening to other rap? Like I thought because I was listening to this shit so much. And the next track is actually probably one of the ones that I've listened to the most, which is
falling out
falling
the
out the
sky.
sky, which is
All
something.
right. So is this better? Where do you think this ranks versus Ramsey's, the other Earl collaboration with Armand Hammer?
Well, to be honest, I have not thought about the two in comparison until
I
just
never
now.
did either. I just came up with that out my ass right now. I was
Probably,
just like,
probably because they sound radically different. This is a very, 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 very Alchemist beat. Like
it
very,
is for
very,
sure.
like that sunny reggae, like, like, like
Well,
you.
I think the sunniness of the beat compared to like the increasingly gloomy verses, like Earl probably has the most optimistic verse, and Earl never has an optimistic verse, and this is certainly not particularly optimistic, but
Yeah, and you know what
it's
I
the
love?
most optimistic of the three.
You know what I love about Earl's optimism is that like it's optimism in the face of like familial tragedy, because it's like the shit opens up and his dad is dead. You know what I mean? Like that's how he opens up
I
the
mean,
verse.
this is kind of like him opening up about Peanut. Like, it's kind of he actually wrote a rap verse for Peanut off some rap songs. Because there's no rap
Yeah,
verse on Peanut. It's just
yeah,
kind of him like absorbing what happened on Peanut and then writing an
yeah,
actual verse about it.
yeah. And also I love like the star related wordplay, like the supernovas, the dead stars, and just like yeah, I mean that
I,
that
I
that
love the thing about the joint burn, like fucking or what the fuck? I gotta look it up. One sec. Split burn like crude oil. That's so good. Because that's also like there's a lot of African wordplay on his verse, which obviously relates back to his father. Everything relates back to his father on it. Like it's all about his father because his father fell out of the sky.
Yeah, but yeah, really, really, really great Earl verse, and I hope.
And then you have Woods telling a straight up story.
Yeah, and what I like about this verse is that it's a verse that seems happy, and I guess you could say is happy to a degree, because he's genuflecting for the weed prices. It's his first time out on the West Coast. Things are sunny and great, but like as it goes on, you get the sense that like there's
encroaching anxiety in his verse, and then Elucid picks that up.
Yes, because it's like like towards the ends of the Woods verse, he's like the Illinois state trooper just waiting
for time and space to collide,
to cross our path. So it's just like,
and then Elucid picks that up with walking four corners in God's country. God's country. That's something that rednecks say about where they live.
Oh shit!
They call it God's country. Yeah,
I didn't know that. I
know they always say it's God's country.
And also a line that I love, because like Elucid, he's rapping here. It seems it's mainly about like a summer camp, and I just love we all knew the Isleys
kissing and all that. Yeah,
we all knew the Isleys before the Beatles. That shit is my life. I heard that shit. I was like, this is my life. I love this. Like I was like, it's just such a relatable line to me, because I mean I also knew about the Isleys before the Beatles, and it's just like being exposed to music through your parents, like shit like that.
I relate to that. I mean, it just sounds good as shit. Like the bedroom over the rec room, the Ebony magazine line, like it just sounds good as hell. Like on a pure rap level, like my white ass can't relate to that, but I get it.
I love the way these guys tell. I love the way, like, even though like they're going like really fast, and like it's not like they're telling stories, but like in an abstract, scattered way that paints that, and they're so good at it that just like it's really vivid to me, and that's what I get from basically Woods and Elucid's verses. Basically, but especially Elucid's, because he's just like saying things that happen, not necessarily connecting them.
I think Woods is more telling a straight narrative, and Elucid is giving you snatches and like letting you connect the dots.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Woods is a bit more, I guess, like less abstract and more like deliberate with like the way that he structured his verses there. But yeah, Elucid's verse is probably my favorite because of the just the Isis line, and just like I love how he structures. I just love how he writes. So yeah, fantastic song. Earl, I hope Earl releases an album with Alchemist. I hope Earl releases an album with Alchemist. I mean, it's funny, the running joke of like, it's hidden on YouTube and blah, blah, blah. All that shit is nice, but I really need them to release an album, because, I mean, Some Rap Songs is one of my favorite albums ever, period. I'm not even just talking about rap, I'm talking like music. So I'd really like another Earl album, because that man can rap.
That man can rap. That man can, and he raps in so many different ways that just bend the, bend the genre, sounds corny or whatever, but he just kind of bends the medium. Like he doesn't. I feel like Earl was so good at rapping from such an early age that he just got different at the way he did it, and that's why Some Rap Songs, that's the way he named it so blandly, and then that's the way and then he starts it off with imprecise words. Like there's something about that way that he phrases that, and the way he frames the way he performs on that album, but every word on that album is really essential.
And also another thing about like going back to imprecise words, on Some Rap Songs, like his style moved to using a lot more like I guess you could call it like slant rhyme than before. Like it felt like a lot more natural to me, which is why I fucking love it. And also another thing about Earl, Earl is a really weird case of a career to me because I can't really think of that many rappers who got as popular as Earl did and then just like straight up like embraced the underground. Like I
True.
can't think
He
of
made no even attempts to cross over mainstream, like not
like
even a
there's
little.
no because the thing is because like of his status like technically someone like Earl would never have to like quote unquote cross over because the fan base was there. He was like hella popular, like Odd Future, Wolfgang Kill 'Em All, that shit. Like all that shit happened. Free Earl, everyone knows about all that shit. Like he was very, very popular. And then like in that space, he's like, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna collaborate with like slums. I just think that's amazing. Cause just like it shows you that this man is about like the art. Like he's about the shit. He's like I could be hanging out with like big rapper XYZ. I'm gonna hang out with the Kai Solo. And there's something that I just love about that.
Yeah, he clearly just loves the art form. Like he's still putting out shit with Alchemist every time he gets a chance, and still just fucking with people who want that Alchemist album, like us.
Yeah,
We still
like
want the goddamn Alchemist album.
yeah, Alchemist tweeted about the secret album.
No, they're still running the joke.
Running the
I'll still
joke.
probably go on YouTube and look for it and not find it.
Yeah.
So we got Pushing Bad with oh my god. Okay, so I just want to speed forward to the Curly Castro verse on this because do you think like is Curly's verse on here the best feature verse? Because every time I listen to the album, I think it might be like I don't know. Like I don't want to like rank any feature verse on here, but
Is
it's
his verse
just a
the
good
best?
fit, dude. Like every line on it, it's better every time I listen.
Well, this verse, well, to answer your question, I don't think it's the best feature verse, but on pretty much any other album that I've heard in the past, like I don't even know how many years, it probably would be the best feature verse. But it's not the best feature verse, and we'll get into why
Oh
it's
yeah,
not
we'll get
on
to
the next track. But this verse is fucking ferocious. It's incredible. Like I just wonder what inspired Curly Castro to write something so hard hitting and just get in the booth and spit like his life depended on it. And I also wonder how much Puffy would hate this verse.
Oh well, he absolutely just stomps Puffy in the nuts.
Yeah, he does.
Right the fuck away. He tells him he should have PTSD for all the people whose bodies he's responsible for.
Yeah, and it's just like
he's not wrong, by the way. He is not wrong.
He's not. The thing is funny. It's like I never expected a verse.
I also never really thought about that either. Like you kind of think of Puffy as like this figure of fun type guy. Like, oh yeah, you know, he's a guy, he yells ad libs, he's been around, and then it's like, yeah, he's responsible for several deaths.
Yeah, Puffy. I'm not the biggest fan of.
I mean, I went through like phases where I'm like, oh, he doesn't rap, he doesn't write raps, he writes checks, he has no talent. And then I was like, oh, he's cool, like, you know, he's a fun guy to have on your song and do ad libs and whatever. But like I went through a period where I'm like, he kind of ruined rap because he made it cool to not rap and do glossy shit.
But you went through the what I call the
only real rap.
The late '90s backpacker. What the fuck is going on in mainstream hip hop? Oh my god, we're losing this shit moment.
The Talib Kweli backpacker shit. Yeah.
Like, yeah, exactly. I mean, I would have gone through. The thing is, I feel like I was born in '91, and if I was born in if I was old enough to actually take in rap in the '90s, so like not like literally growing and learning how to be a human, but like if I was 15 when rap transitioned from like I don't know like to the I guess we can call it like the Jiggy era or whatever. Like if I was old enough to see the exiting of the golden era, I 200% would have been a bitter ass backpacker. Like I am not like no like if I was there at the time and like I was watching hip hop Like I would probably
You saw Biggie, Puffy on the yacht, taking
like I
in his
200%.
shiny ass suit. Yeah.
Yeah, I 200% would have been a bitter ass backpacker. But yeah, that Curly Castro verse is fucking great. Curly Castro.
I made a point to not reference anything. I did not look up Genius. I was like, I'm only going to go off what I thought was relevant and that I could reference out of my own like mental capacity from the lyric sheet and whatever. The one thing I did reference was Odella Harrington, just because it sounded so dope when he said it.
Speaking of Curly Castro sounding dope, he has an amazing rap voice.
He does.
I could probably listen to Curly Castro, like provided that the beats are dope, which they were on that Shrapnel album, which you should listen to if you have not heard and listening to this podcast.
Clearly have not spent enough time on my page. I've given Shrapnel 9 out of 10.
Yeah, Shrapnel is
I've given Tosh 9 out of 10. You should listen to Tosh if you haven't.
Oh, Tosh is really good. Yeah, I listened to that for the first time like a couple weeks ago. I really liked it.
Yeah, no, I'm fully up on Curly. He's really good. I've listened to all his shit. The only one I don't like is the one before, like Winston's Appeal, is the one I don't like that much.
Also, speaking of features, so Amani, who is the son of someone who we have mentioned on this podcast, but I don't want you to say who.
Most Def.
Maybe. Anyway, this hook is super dope, and I wish he had a verse. Because the thing is, when that King Vision,
good. No, he's really good, and his album this year is very good too. So if you can check that shit out.
His album this year is really good. And his album last year with King Vision Ultra, I said it the last time I was on this podcast. That album is fucking great. More people should listen to that album. And I feel like if he had a verse here, maybe more people would listen to that King Vision, the album he has with King Vision Ultra. But great hook. I like the play on words between like amazing. Really like that stuff. But,
again, that's more Alk just knowing how to work with rappers' voices. I mean, Curly's voice is already really cool. I think he just makes it sound super crispier, and I think he knows like the way to make it sound versus Amani's voice. Like I think he just knows the dichotomy between, or like a contrast between them, I guess.
Yeah.
Like tough versus soft. Yeah, is a good way to put it. I don't know, but yeah.
Also, I can't believe we've been talking about this. So I feel like Woods' verse. I feel like somebody at some school who studied things like, I don't know, somebody who writes books like I don't know, Carceral Capitalism. Someone who writes a book like Carceral Capitalism. I think that's the name of the book. Someone who writes a book like that.
You talking about like Zizek? Is that Zizek?
Or like somebody who writes a book like Carceral Capitalism is by Jackie Wang, which I've read excerpts of it, but I haven't read the whole thing. Or someone who writes a book like or like the end of policing, or
I mean, I love, like, one of my favorite moments on this is the clip, like the Chinese box line on this, where it used to be lynching, now it's just they lose you in the system.
Yeah. And I was talking about those authors and those books because I feel like somebody who writes books like that, somebody like Angela Davis, people like that, could listen to this Woods verse and be like, oh shit, there's a lot here. And this is amazing. Because
like Woods is great at synthesizing academic concepts and spitting them in dope rap verses.
Yes. The exact point that I was going to make.
Because he comes up with that Lord Jim line, which is so fucking dope.
Oh, I actually think
imperialism in 2 bars.
I just like obviously a lot of it's about like the prison system, how it breaks people down physically and mentally. Like I just love like the simplicity of something like no clocks, they break you. You don't break rocks. Watch yourself rot in the box. Obviously very direct, very obvious what he's talking about. But it's like the loss of time, the physical breakdown, and things like bad wishing. You don't have to do a thing. The machine grind till it glisten. Like the fact that like you don't have to do anything.
But then you get like the way he uses his flow to emphasize it, and then you get like the contrast with Castro mentioning like Diddy and capitalism, and like yeah,
and then like the thing is like with that bad wishing line, it's like yeah, you don't have to do anything for this shit to be bad. Like the prison system, the policing, all this stuff, it's designed to target racialized and lower income people. Except like it's just funny.
Line that's dope is that it emphasizes this shit existed before now. It's been there. It's just waiting for you.
Yeah, that is just and also again with like how well produced this record is. There's like really subtle things. Like when Wood say voices, when he says voices in the ventilation float different, and then
and then
ghastly airy sound.
Fuck.
Yeah, that's a great moment.
And we haven't even gotten to Elucid's fucking verse.
Oh my god, is it just Elucid's verse? I never expected Elucid to do a verse from the perspective of a sex worker.
Every time I listen to this, I yell along to the "Quit pressing that goddamn buzzer."
Yeah, and it's just, oh god, there's so many. Like sometimes you tell the truth, they think you crazy. Like that's a dope line. It just like belittle niggas, raise your tongue.
Is he dissing JPEG again?
Is he? Well, where do you think he is? Because I don't know.
Lately, I've been on some ill shit. I feel you, but you gotta chill, sis. I'd probably give you a beat, but I think you'd steal. You'd steal.
Oh shit. That might. I mean, if you put it in the context of that, yeah, he could be talking about that, man. Because
I don't know. I mean, I was just thinking about it when I was listening today. I just like.
I remember when
maybe not. Question mark.
When I found out that verse. What was
I mean, I just kind of somebody threw me a line on that about the one before. I didn't even think about that one, and then it was just like,
What was the song that Elucid goes in on? And it's a really good verse, and it's obviously about
Peggy.
Is it Leopards?
It's on Shrines, isn't it?
On Shrines. Yeah.
And a leopard changes its spots.
Oh shit. Yeah. But yeah, I love this Elucid verse. And it's just I like how all these verses, I guess like you could kind of connect them, but they feel very, very separate from one another. Yeah, the song works perfectly, and I really like that. Because like they're talking about three different things,
but they're also thematically connected.
Yes. Yeah, and so the next song
is also thematically connected.
I mean, Chicharrones, this song is just fucking. This is fucking crazy. First of all, I mean, without even getting to the lyrics, which are something else, but like the beat is like this psychedelic, like sludge, like I don't know.
This is a crazy Al beat. Like this is one of his like I don't even know. Like what he's doing with the tempo on this beat is nuts.
I have a question for you. So the first time that I heard got caught with the pork, but you gotta kill the cop in your thoughts, still saying pause. The first thing that I thought about was homophobia.
Yes, because saying pause.
Yeah, because saying pause.
And then I thought kill the cop in your thoughts.
But the thing is, like, pause is a way that people police language. Because it's like if somebody says something,
pause.
If somebody says pause, they're implying that you said something that could be taken as like, I guess what this person thinks of as in
might be taken as I'm saying something like gay, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Which is you're essentially like these people, and people still do say.
And in retrospect, does that even fucking matter? I said something to be taken gay, and in 2021, does that even fucking matter? Who cares if I'm saying something to be taken gay?
I know exactly, but the thing is, like, people say pause. Essentially, it's policing how people talk.
Right. Don't police.
Like, literally.
Don't police
like,
me. Like,
because like don't talk.
Yeah.
Exactly, because like don't talk like this because you can be perceived in a certain way. So people are saying pause when you say something. So I was like, I never thought about like I just like how he ties like it's like policing language in.
And then he starts talking about like then yeah like, but then again like this is Lupe Fiasco shit where it's like everything means two things. Every line means two things. And when Lupe does it, sometimes it pisses me off because it's like Lupe wants you to know it means two things, where it's like, okay, Lupe, we get it. And like sometimes that's annoying. But I think in this song, it's very important.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And just like, it's like for me, I think like Negroes say they hate the cops, but the minute something off, they want to use force. I just work here. I'm not the boss.
I'm not the boss.
God, that is such a good line.
And also, that is like not even for black dudes. That's everybody. Like in white people, like you're gonna snitch on anybody else. I just work here.
Yeah,
For
exactly.
German people, I just work here. I'm not Hitler, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like that's
a universal fucking truth. I'm not the boss. I just work here, man.
Yeah. That is just really.
And eventually, we're all sausages.
Yeah. I just love like your crew fragile as the Caucasus, as the Balkans is.
And then we get to Quelle, dude. First of all, whoever said the fucking Quelle has the worst verse on this album, this in the comment box, y'all probably Sports Dude. That guy's fucking stupid.
Okay, that's the craziest shit ever.
The dumbest person on RYM. If you're listening to this, you can block me. You're the dumbest person on the website. You suck.
Yeah, definitely.
Fucking dumbest guy on the planet Earth.
That guy is consistently the worst takes on Rate Your Music. Most definitely.
Whoever said that this verse is brilliant, like, and Quelle does this, like, I forget what other Quelle verse I listened to that just like he's really, really good at tying in a theme back in on itself, and this might be the best I've ever heard. Like the way he just ties the like visceral details of pigs in with the thematic details of the song is just fucking brilliant. And then you think about how literally viscerally unpleasant it is, which we talked about the very thing we talked about, how our girls did not like to see this album cover.
Yeah,
it's so unpleasant.
Yeah,
it is.
It really is. And one thing that I like about this Quelle Chris verse, and I think this is some of the hardest shit Quelle has ever spit. And what I like about his delivery is that there are times where it sounds like he's gonna stop, but he just keeps on going and going.
Yeah. And he's being obnoxious to a point.
Yeah. And it's just like, I mean, the hook of this shit, if you can call it a hook, this shit is just perfect. It gets stuck.
You figs. We. Yeah.
Yeah. It gets stuck in my head. Like
whether you want it to or not.
Yeah, exactly. Whether I want it to or not. Yeah. And I like sheep calling the sheep on Old Sick Donald's See and Say.
That he's talking about social media.
Yep, exactly. Old Sick Donald, obviously, but like social media. But yeah, I mean, yeah, just great verse. One of the best on the album. I don't understand how somebody could like this album and like Armand Hammer and listen to this verse and not like it, but I guess that's the beauty of music and takes, is that they're subjective as hell. So
exactly. You're welcome to, buy the ticket, take the ride, like what you like. But fucking yeah, every time I listen to it, I appreciate something new about it, and I hate something more about the world and myself just listening to it. I'm like, God damn it, this sucks.
Yeah.
This is great. This song is great. This world.
Yeah, it really. This is one of those songs where I can play this. I can just literally just put this on repeat.
Quelle is an artist I appreciate the more I listen to him because he's somebody I really didn't appreciate at first because he's just like willfully obnoxious.
Oh man, Quelle. The first Quelle Chris album I heard was "Being You Is Great Again," and since then I've listened to pretty much everything that he put out before and after. And dude is one of the best doing it right now. And
I don't think Jean Grey would marry somebody who isn't cool.
Yeah, and he's married to Jean Grey, and they put out a great album together. And I am very sad that Jean Grey no longer raps. Apparently, it looks like she's done with rap.
She probably feels like there's nothing more for her to do, unfortunately.
Which is a decision that I respect. But if she was to get on 10 tracks for 40 to 45 minutes and rap with whoever is producing,
possibly over Alchemist instrumentals.
But if she was to get over Alchemist instrumentals or Quelle Chris instrumentals or Earl Sweatshirt instrumentals, that would be something that I would pay a lot of money for. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, I bought several Jean Bandcamp releases. I would buy more if she felt the need to put any more out, but I get why she doesn't.
Yeah.
The music industry is not kind to females, certainly not kind to black females. It's certainly very unkind to rapping black females.
That is
rap about what Jean
raps about. So. The entire discourse around rappers who are women is toxic all the time, without fail. Like legit, like you go online, and I remember one thing that really pissed me off was when I saw like a bunch of comments about how is Cardi B popular? How is she XYZ? How is this number one? How is where's rap star standards? Blah blah blah. I'm like, so Cardi B's music is like aggressively not for me, which is okay because shit can't be for everybody, right?
Correct, yeah.
But it's just like, how are y'all up in arms about Cardi B being number one and complaining about like her rhymes and shit? Oh, look at all the men who we've had up here. Oh, the shit that they've been coming out with, like how is Cardi B like the signifier of like?
This is the one, like, you're gonna be mad at Cardi. You're not gonna be mad at like fucking 15 dudes saying way worse shit.
Exactly. Like I just don't. Yeah. So like whenever I see shit like that, I always end up
goddamn battles. Yes. It says more about you that you're picking a battle with this one chick than the 15 other dudes saying the same shit.
I don't understand the hate that Cardi B gets, which I've often seen it from that perspective, and it makes no sense to me considering the male rappers who are popular. It makes absolutely no sense. But well, it does make sense because
unfortunately, it does make perfect sense.
It makes perfect sense because motherfuckers be hating women and of course black women in particular. It makes perfect sense.
Some whores in this house. There are some
exactly
in this house.
Like yeah, exactly. Like exactly. But
well, moving on though, Squeegee. Just because I could shit on Ben Shapiro for an hour, but no one wants to hear me do my Ben Shapiro voice. No one wants to hear Ben Shapiro do his Ben Shapiro voice.
Yeah, I love the contrast between the Elucid and Woods verses here, because Elucid's verses sounds like someone who's got their shit like going on. Like this is a healthy motherfucker, like Shea Buttercream, Lang, rub her knees, that's gang, our pancakes were buckwheat, my bonnet pink, that's upkeep. Like right. This dude, like he's
got it sorted, and Woods
character can't even keep it together for what, like 2 weeks? Like it's just like the thing that I love about this Woods verse is, again, it's something I say all the time when I talk about Billy Woods, like the creepy, like the paranoia, like the danger in this dude's environment. Like he took the long route, something in his stomach pit, sick, thinking, what if someone followed him to the crib? Probably not, but still, like I just love shit like that.
Well, one of the things, like, whenever I hear a good Woods story verse, it always brings me back to Shaky Dog off a Fish Scale, which is my favorite Ghostface story track. He gets the little details right. He gets the paranoia right. He gets the character voices right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get that sort of aspect out of something like this.
Yeah. and just he like I just loved like the like getting wet in the hall, like how he describes like the violence. Just
Took the long route, something in his stomach pit. Just like the guy had to walk that way because he was so fucking just like nauseous in his soul. Like he was just so physically just disgusted.
yeah, and just like the fact that like the emphasis on the environment, the fact that like he's trying to like not do these things. He's clearly trying not to smoke weed. He's walking back home, and motherfuckers like, hey, you want to
burned his stomach? Yeah.
But yeah, this song is great. Like all the other songs on this album. Shit.
Exactly. There's not a bad moment on this album. Like if you're listening to this for us to critique the bad moments on this album, you're listening to the wrong podcast.
Yeah, it's the wrong one. I'm sure there's other podcasts.
I'm sure Anthony Fantano has some like fucking cool things to say about the bad moments on this album. Go listen to that. Yeah, you got solo shot on Robert Moses before the final one, and yeah, again, this is just Woods going nuts. Like
so, I didn't know who Robert Moses was before this.
I didn't look this one up. You're gonna have to educate me. I did not do my research on this one.
So Robert Moses was a hella racist public official guy in New York City. He was behind the urban planning of New York, and this is actually from the Wikipedia. So I'm just gonna read out the Wikipedia verbatim. In Moses' urban planning of New York, he bulldozed primarily Black and Latino homes to make way for parks. A very American thing to do. That was my editing.
Do you know who Frank Rizzo is, by any chance?
I feel like I've heard references to him.
Yeah, he's basically this guy in Philly, pretty much. Like, yeah, he's like, so it sounds like Robert Moses is like the New York version of Frank Rizzo. He was like the super racist mayor in Philly who really hated Black and brown people. And yeah, Wilson Goode was the one who actively bombed fucking projects in Philly. Yeah, Philly had a lot of really shit mayors. But anyway, continue.
Yeah, but yeah, so he chose the middle of minority neighborhoods as the locations for highways and specifically designed bridges on the parkways connecting to New York to beaches in Long Island to be low enough to prevent buses from the inner city to access the beaches. And before I talk about this song, this reminds me of Elucid Save Yourself because gentrification and urban planning and how that shit is obviously like, you know.
I think there's just like an overall through line in all of their work just about how we got where we're at. And so.
And I like how, so there's images of just like conquering and pillaging that really, I don't know, they sound really dope to me. Like I built a church atop the synagogue where you built your mosque.
Yeah.
Like, it's like I'm devastated. I've devastated this thing that you hold so dear with something that like, and the use of like.
And it's also just like colonialism again.
Yes, exactly, colonialism. Yeah, and yeah, this shit is really good, and just like it gets. I just get.
And like, also another Dipset reference.
Oh, where?
Rucker, Jimmy and Cam running out their sneakers.
Oh, and he also references. He also says La Liga, which makes me think of like La Liga in Spain, the soccer league. But it just seems really random. I mean, maybe he's talking about something else. I have no idea. But
it's just, it's very good at like, it references history and rap history and urban history, and it synthesizes it all in one verse because Billy Woods is such a good goddamn writer, and he gets this all in like what, 2 minutes?
Yeah, and yeah, definitely like heavy like colonial vibes because like obviously Robert Moses, that's like what he did to New York City. That's hella colonizer shit. So like also, it's just like
fucking imagery of Mandela smiling forever, which is like sarcastic in terms of is he referencing like a mural of Mandela smiling? Is he like being like?
Oh yeah. Like,
or is he just like fucking plowing it over, or what? Like, and Stalin and just the amount of historical context in this verse is super fucking heavy, which makes me think about how the next song, which I mean, that song is like, we could talk about that for goddamn ever, but
yeah, I mean, to be honest, Stone Fruit is Elucid singing on this song is just so.
First of all, surprisingly catchy.
It's probably this is probably the catchiest Armand Hammer song, and I don't really
but then
feel.
When you think about what they're talking about, it's just like, oh, I should not be singing along to this.
Yeah, I think Elucid's about like he's on about love here. I think like in terms of, like relationships.
But
like,
okay, so what did you think this was about when you first listened to the album?
Stone Fruit, like
yeah. Like when you actually then okay, so Elucid comes in and then you hear Billy's verse. What did you think the context was?
What did I think the context was? The first time I heard this album, I thought I did not have any such thoughts because I just listened to the verse. I was like, that verse was amazing. I have to go back to it because I do not know what to make of it. But like the imagery is very, very powerful. I mean, the dude is like is having sex and being like dismantled.
Yeah, he's literally having someone bite him in the fucking neck in the jugular vein. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it gave me what's the one very, very visceral, violent song that? Oh wait, Red Dust, right? Is that at the end of Hiding Places? This is a song on Hiding Places.
Yeah, that I hadn't even made the Hiding Places ref. That would make sense because that's
Red Dust. It reminded me of Red Dust.
Yeah, right after Big Fake Laugh. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this song is another one of those songs where if somebody told me that Armand Hammer would have a song that sounded exactly like this just a year ago, I'd be like, no, they wouldn't. And it works perfectly. It works so well. Like I really love this song.
I mean, it's a gorgeous song. I initially thought that it was a song about someone they knew who had been raped. Then, after listening to it, I thought it might have been an analogy for colonialism, about the rape of the land.
Oh.
Now I don't know what to think of it. I've listened to it like 30 times, and I don't know what to think about this goddamn song.
Yeah, I mean...
I really don't. Because Billy talks in the second person. He's the one being bit in the neck.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what to think about this song. I mean, I know I love it. It's an incredible song. But in terms of the message, I don't know. And this is the one song on the album where I don't know what the ultimate message is.
Well, I mean, for Woods' part, yeah, honestly, no idea. Like, if someone asked me what the overall message is on that, other than that Woods is one of the best writers ever to write.
Oh no, it's so incredibly
like I wouldn't come up with stuff. I mean, for Elucid, it's like, I don't know, like flexibility, reciprocity, what I need, but you're not all I need. That's impossible. Very much about relationships for me. Like no one like those. I mean, those are things that are like essential in a relationship, like a romantic relationship. Like the other person cannot be all that you need, no matter how much you love them, because that is impossible. That's putting like too much of a burden on somebody else. And in order for any romantic relationship to survive, there has to be flexibility and reciprocity, because you're dealing with two different people. You get what I'm saying? So I got that from the end of Elucid's part, but I honestly, Woods' verse, I listened to it. I was like, Red Dust vibes, and it's great. that's my take on the Woods verse.
Yeah, I just don't know where I stand with the song ultimately. I mean, like, I know I love the song. I initially had one stance on it, and then another, and now there's a video for it now.
There is, and I haven't seen the video.
I haven't watched it, so I don't know. That might be illuminating. But
yeah, I mean that. To be honest, so since we're at like the end here, I feel like I was talking about earlier how like I was born in '91 and how like basically like the golden era of rap happened when I was fucking like babbling. So then
right.
Armand Hammer, we're now looking at 5 straight albums that have all been like 5 albums of straight fire, essentially.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think race music is a little below the other 4, but still.
No, yeah, it is. Honestly, if somebody
it's
took
still
like
good. Don't get me wrong, race music's an 8, but like, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like race music's great, but if I had like, well, if you wanted to hear us criticize Armand Hammer, here's the part. Well, if I feel like that album could be edited down to the now standard 40 to 45 minute Armand Hammer album length, and you could cut a little bit of you could cut some songs. I can't remember what specific songs, but there are songs in there where I'd be like, if you could whittle this down to like 40 to 45 minutes, it could be like a 9.
But on the other hand, no one talks about furtive movements, and that's fucking as good as any album you've ever heard.
Yeah, and also nobody, and even less people talk about fucking, what's the name of the mixtape? Let me go through my iTunes here. Half Measures.
Fucking, what the fuck is it?
Half Measures.
Half Measures, yeah. Half Measures rules, too.
There's a song on Half Measures that has Billy Woods rhyming with Rob Sonic. It's called Post Haste.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that shit's fire. Yeah.
And there's a song on there also called Marooned, where they're talking about prison, and Elucid has a pretty dope hook about like why they call this Sing Sing, and that's another really dope song. But anyway, back to what I was saying. So like now we were looking at pretty much 5 records that is like shit's either great or like it's like ridiculously good. And so like the norm for great rap groups, like all-time rap groups, is that they have 3 to 4 great albums. And then there's like a huge drop in quality, or you break up, or whatever. And I'm not gonna say which groups that I'm alluding to. I'm gonna let the listeners just fill in the blanks here. Mainly because I don't want to get in an argument with people about these groups that I'm referring to, because I do love these groups more than like 99% of music. But like, since we're on the 5th Armand Hammer album, and it was amazing, and all the rest of their albums are either really good or amazing, I kind of feel like this might have been what it felt like to be like 15 and like fucking De La Soul just keeps on dropping heat. Oh, there, I said one of the groups. But like, you know what I mean? Like,
I get what you're saying, and it's weird because these are older dudes, and we're older dudes, and they keep doing it. No, I get what you're saying. They
just keep on doing it. Like they're one of the.
And I think this kind of dovetails into the final thing I wanted to talk about, which is Billy Woods the best rapper of all time by discography?
Oh. With that last modifier.
I had to say by discography just because, he didn't make Illmatic. Like, because, I wasn't 20 in 1994 when Illmatic dropped, and I wasn't 17 when fucking the Eric B. and Rakim dropped.
Yeah, that actually ties into the point that I was making, which is essentially these guys for me, they're like, I'm not talking about them in the context of this amazing indie rap movement that's happening right now that has all these rappers whose works I love dearly. I'm talking about them in the context of like, these guys are like one of the best groups, period. Like
they keep doing it.
And they just keep on doing it.
They're continuously evolving. They're continuously making relevant works, and yeah.
Yeah, and also, I would think this if they only had these 5 albums. if they only had the 5 albums. So
correct.
While they've been
isolated amongst themselves, not even considering
releasing these 5
not
albums,
considering Today I Wrote Nothing, not even considering, yeah.
So it is. I just feel like, I don't know, this Armand Hammer shit. It's kind of insane, man. Because those groups, and I guess since I slipped up, De La Soul is one of those groups. Like these people that I hold as like being the golden standard of like, you know, like the 3 to 4 great and or classic rap albums, like the perfect chemistry in the group, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, based on De La Soul, the other groups I'm talking about are pretty obvious. But like, I don't know, man. I feel the same way about Armand Hammer as I do about that old stuff that I really like. And it's really weird for me to say this because it's like I'm like shocked about how much I like their music. It's wild.
And it's just, I didn't expect this album to happen, and it happened, and it was this fucking good, and they just keep doing it every goddamn year. And clockwork.
And apparently there's an Elucid solo record coming. Like, come on.
And there's probably going to be a Billy solo record because he does it all the only Billy solo record I don't really like since the first 2 is Terror Management. And that's still pretty good. Like, it's still totally good. It's just not on the level of the rest.
Oh, my God. I love Terror Management.
No, it's totally fine. It's just not on the level of, like, Hiding Places or something.
Oh, yeah. It's not as good as Hiding Places. That's what I'm saying.
It's just not, like, fucking life changing.
Yeah. There's that one track on Terror Management where where Woods gets recognized at the butcher, and he says, "I forget white people born police." That is one of the.
I'm sure if I listened to Terror Management front to back, I'd be like, "Well, I'm a moron." Like, I'm sure if I actually listened to Terror Management front to back, I would actually redact this opinion entirely. So like
the thing with Woods, like the standard he sets is high. The standard he sets.
That's a whole other discussion for a whole other podcast. I hope you're satisfied.
I never answered the question though. Is Billy Woods the best rapper of all time based on discography?
Well, that's going to be another discussion for our Billy Woods podcast, won't it?
Yeah, it will. It will. That'll be really long.
Perhaps you'll be the guest on that podcast, but that's going to be something you're going to have to listen for the next time on Living Off Borrowed Time. Brian, it was wonderful to have you.
Yes, great, man.
Always fun to talk about Armand Hammer with you. And we are Living Off Borrowed Time, as always. And our outro music is Stagnated Pace by Can Kick. We are Living Off Borrowed Time. See you next time. Peace.
Peace.
It ain't gonna never stop. 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 It ain't gonna never stop.
Time will tell. Time is yet to be conquered by man. But when the time is right, perhaps the greatest revelation of all time will dawn upon us.